1,000 moons, 1,000 jambudvipas, 1,000 avaragodhaniyas, 1,000 uttarakurus, 1,000 paravidhas, 1,000 sumeras, 1,000 katar maharahakas, 1,000 trayastrimsas, 1,000 yamas, 1,000 tasitas, 1,000 nirmanaritas, 1,000 paranirmatavasavartans, 1,000 brahmalokas, 1,000 mahabrahmas. All that is called Sahasrakudaka or Kudaka for short. A group of 1,000 universes of the Sahasrakudaka type is called Dvisahasramadhyama. A group of 1,000 universes of the Dvisahasramadhyama type is called Trisahasramahasahasralokadatu. Thus we have the Sahasralokadatu, then the Dvisahasramadhyama. Finally the Trisahasramahasahasra. Therefore a billion suns, moons, etc. Up to a billion mahabrahmas is a Trisahasramahasahasralokadatu. The creation and the destruction of the universes within a group takes place at the same time. Some say, the period of duration is a kalpa, the period of destruction is a kalpa, the period of creation is a kalpa. That is the Trisahasramahasasaralokadatu. The Mahakalpa has 3 disappearances. By water, by fire, and by wind. The small kalpa also has 3 disappearances. By knife, by plague, and by famine. The Trisahasramahasahasralokadatu rests on space. On top of space, the circle of wind, on top of wind, the circle of water. On top of the water, the golden earth. On the earth, people. Mount Sumeru has the abodes of 2 classes of gods, the Katar Maharahakas and the Trayastrimsas. The others, the abodes of the Yama gods, etc. are lands formed of the 7 jewels and caused by their merits. The wind arises in space and reaches the Mahabrahma gods and the levels formed of the 7 jewels which all rest on the wind. It is the Trisahasramahasahasralokadatu that the Buddha's rays illumine, and when these rays die out, other rays arise which go to light up universes as numerous as the sands of the Ganges. The same phenomenon is produced in the regions of the south, the west, and the north, in the intermediate directions and in the regions of the zenith and the nadir. Question. Why does not their brilliance disappear the farther out they go out? Answer. These rays have as their source the Buddha's miraculous power, and as long as they persist, they will not disappear. Just as in the Sea of the Nagas. The water does not dry up by the power of the serpents, so these rays illumine the 10 directions without disappearing in the course of their route by the mental power of the Buddha. Question. In Jambudvipa there are many kinds of great rivers. There are some that surpass even the Ganges. Why do you always use the expression as numerous as the sands of the Ganges? Answer 1. Because the Ganges is sandier than the other rivers. 2. Furthermore, the Gangetic region is the birthplace of the Buddha and was the place where he moved about. Since his disciples knew it by sight, we use it as comparison. 3. Furthermore, the Buddha is a native of Jambudvipa. In Jambudvipa, 4 great rivers come from the northern boundaries and empty into the oceans in the 4 directions of space. At the northern boundaries, in the snowy mountains, there is Lake Napotatu. In the lake there is a lotus golden in color and made of the 7 jewels, as large as a chariot wheel. Its master, Anavatapata, king of the Nagas, is a great bodhisattva of the 7th bhumi. At the 4 corners of the lake there are 4 mouths from which the water flows out. I. At the east, the elephant's mouth. 2. At the south, the ox's mouth. 3. At the west, the horse's mouth. 4. At the north, the lion's mouth. A. In the east, the elephant's mouth empties into the Hung. Its bed consists of golden sand. B. In the south, the ox's mouth empties into the Sinteou. Its bed also consists of golden sand. C. In the west, the horse's mouth empties into the Potcha. Its bed also consists of golden sand. D. In the north, the lion's mouth empties into the Suratiyo, Siddha. Its bed also consists of golden sand. These 4 rivers all come from the mountain in the north. The Ganga comes from the mountain in the north and empties into the eastern ocean. The Sindhu comes from the mountain in the north and empties into the southern ocean. The Vaksu comes from the mountain in the north and empties into the western ocean. The Siddha comes from the mountain in the north and empties into the northern ocean. The Ganges is the most important of these 4 rivers. People come there from the 4 directions of space and consider it to be a sacred river. The sins, stains, and faults of those who bathe there are completely removed. Since all people venerate and know this river, the sands of the Ganges are taken as comparison. 4. Finally, the other rivers change their name vying with one another, but the Ganges keeps its name from generation to generation. This is why the sands of the Ganges are taken for comparison and not the other rivers. B. Question. How many grains of sand are there in the Ganges? Answer. No mathematician is capable of knowing the number. It is known only by the Buddhas and dharmakaya bodhisattvas who are able to number the atoms that arise and cease in the whole of jambudvipa, and therefore they can also know the number of grains of sand in the Ganges. Thus the Buddha was seated under a tree in a forest near the jetavana. A brahmin approached him and asked, "How many leaves are there in this forest?" The Buddha immediately replied, "There are such and such a number." The brahmin wondered how to prove that. He went behind a tree, tore off a few leaves and went to hide them. He came back and asked the Buddha, "Exactly how many leaves are there in this forest?" The Buddha answered by subtracting from the original number the number of leaves he had torn off. The Brahmin recognized the precision of his calculation and was filled with respect and faith. He asked the Buddha to accept him as a monk, and later he became an arhat. This proves that the Buddha is able to know the number of grains of sand in the Ganges. Question. What is the number of those who became destined to supreme complete enlightenment in contact with the Buddha's rays? If it is enough to be touched by the Buddha's rays to find the path, why does the Buddha, who is so benevolent, not always emit his rays so that everyone will find the path? Why should it be necessary to observe morality, samadhi, and wisdom in order to finally find the path? Answer. Beings find salvation by all sorts of different means. Some are saved by concentration, others by morality and preaching, still others because the Buddha's rays touched their body. It is like a city with many gates. The entryways are different but the point of arrival is the same. Some people whom the Buddha's rays have touched find salvation, others who see the rays and whom the rays have touched do not find salvation. Act 2.